Hello to all Star Wars fans, especially those who love and review the original trilogy. I think we're similar. A team of our channel first got acquainted with Star Wars in the noughties. With the release of the prequel trilogy, they became the first films in the universe for us, and we immediately fell in love with those beautiful lightsaber fights, beautiful computer graphics, and for the scale of what was happening. After the prequels, we watched the original trilogy on old parental tapes, and we were a little disappointed because everything seemed somehow boring and grey and sad. But well, what could you expect from us, in a word, children? Later, when we grew up, we re-watched the original trilogy and realized that these films were not only interesting in their own way, but also had a unique atmosphere of the heyday of cinema. A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi play well on the right strings of any adult soul. But more importantly, these three films reflect the incredible skill, talent, and hard work of all the crew members, including George Lucas himself, who were able to achieve such an amazing picture at a time when there were no modern technologies, computer graphics, the internet, and other assisting tools of modern filmmakers. What can I say? In those days, there was not even faith in the success of Star Wars until A New Hope came out in theaters and tore them to shreds. By the way, in 1977, the film was simply called Star Wars without numbering and other attributions, and so after 50 years, Lucasfilm decided to surprise the fans and officially announced the re-release of A New Hope in cinemas, but not an updated version, but the very first original one. This is the very version which was released in 1977. Without updated graphics, additional scenes that appeared in 1997, 2004, and 2011. The version in which Han Solo shot first and Jabba the Hutt was a man in full outfit, kind of like a gang leader from classic westerns. In short, this version is a real treasure. And in this video, we will tell you everything that is known about the re-release, how it differs from the latest version in 2011, as well as when and in which cinemas the re-release will take place. We don't ask for a like or a subscription, it's enough that you watch the video and have a good time. As we already mentioned, the Star Wars universe will celebrate its 50th universe in 2027. In honor of this event, Lucasfilm decided to show a restored 1977 version of A New Hope in theaters without computer graphics and additional scenes added by George Lucas and multiple reissues of the original trilogy. Here's what the official announcement sounds like. On February 19th, 2027, we'll celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars with a re-release of the 1977 original back for a limited time in theaters everywhere. Part of Lucasfilm's year-long 50th anniversary celebration, a newly restored version of the classic Star Wars 1977 theatrical release, later renamed Star Wars A New Hope, will play in theaters for a limited time. This announcement divided the fans into two camps. As always, the restored version means improving the overall quality of the film without adding anything new to it. That's how it was released in theaters 50 years ago, and it will remain that way, but with better quality. So that you understand, at the moment, the original 1977 version looks like this. You will agree the picture leaves much to be desired by today's standards, but it has its own flavor of that time. This version of Lucasfilm will be improved to the ideal. The first half of the fans were happy because they like the so-called untouched version of New Hope in which everything looks natural. They're mostly older people who saw the premiere of the original trilogy in theaters, but the other half of the fans, on the contrary, are upset because they expected Lucasfilm not to release the old version a second time, but to further refine the latest version so that it looks like the prequels. Remarkably, George Lucas had exactly the same opinion. Despite the fact that the 1977 version does have a lot of full-scale scenes from Tunisia which gives it life, Lucas always wanted to improve the visual of Star Wars and make them more colorful. While some filmmakers were of the opinion that films should be made without the use of computer graphics, George Lucas, on the contrary, considered it right to use all modern technologies to achieve a better result, since he thought more about the audience than about his ambitions as a director. He was speaking plainly. If it had been possible to do it the same way as it was with the prequels, draw everything on a computer and achieve an impressive picture, he would have done so, and would not have used sticks with reflective material to simulate a lightsaber or build mocaps of AT-ATs. That's why he re-released the original trilogy 3 times in theaters and on DVD in 1997, 2004, and 2011, adding new scenes and refining old ones through computer graphics. This was his favorite tool. Thus, Lucas wanted to achieve the smallest visual gap between the two trilogies. George straight up insisted that the special editions of the original trilogy were now authentic versions of the film and that their original theatrical versions would no longer be released. Many criticized him for this. For example, for some reason, George decided to remake the scene with Han and Greedo very crookedly. Initially, Han Solo was by nature a scoundrel who was able to shoot a mercenary threatening him, and he did it by shooting first. However, in the new version, Lucas made Greedo shoot first, and Han's head also moved sideways with lightning speed, like he was so cool that he managed to dodge the shot. In this way, the director probably wanted to show that Han Solo is not a bad person, who would not have shot first, although even Disney later showed how young Han shot first at Beckett, who pointed a blaster at him. In short, George Lucas did a very strange and crooked retcon, which was not in the original 1977 version. There's also, by the way, a cutscene of Han kissing a girl before Luke and Obi-Wan arrive at the cantina. Apparently, the original plan was to show him as a real gangster. A much more significant retcon is the image of Jabba the Hutt. At first, he was just a fat man, the leader of a gang, and Lucas wanted to show him as a nasty worm, meaning the character. But later he found it an interesting idea and turned Jabba into a real nasty worm. As a result, this scene did not appear in the first version of the film, but it was added with the re-release in 1997. I wonder if Lucasfilm will restore it, or will they just leave it cut out? And for the rest, there are numerous changes for the visual components, from small to large. Absolutely all the panoramic scenes have been expanded, the graphics have been improved, and the timing has been increased. Therefore, during viewing it, it sometimes feels like the original trilogy briefly turns into prequels, and then returns to its roots. The biggest changes were received by Yavin 4. In the first version of 1977, the moon on which the rebel base was located did not have any panoramic scenes at all, only rare shots with trees and a lone observer on a tower. But in the reissues, it just blossomed. Well, there are a lot of such changes. So it will be difficult to perceive the reissue of the original New Hope as something serious. No matter how much Lucas's improvements were criticized, it was thanks to them that the original trilogy became more like Star Wars as a large-scale fictional universe, ceasing to be just cool science fiction films. But the very fact that we will get a restored version from the 70s will allow us to compare how it was and how it became, nothing more. We doubt that the new generation would have been impressed by the 1977 theatrical version, and perhaps it was thanks to Lucas's refinement that we were able to love and accept 3 old Star Wars films when we were children ourselves. Anyway, on February 19th, 2027, Lucasfilm will solemnly hold a rescreening of the vintage film and announce the celebration of the 50th anniversary. Maybe in honor of this event, we will be pleased with some more announcements. Please share your opinion in the comments. Are you waiting for a restored New Hope, or do you think a re-release of the film is a bad idea? Thanks for watching. See you later, and may the Force be with you.